Hello, this is Chris from Deus Ex Machina, and I am not with my wife. I am with
Dave from Rampant Wolf Games.
And we are back to do another review. This time we are talking about Master of the Galaxy?
Yes.
By Ares.
Let's see.
Anyway, let's talk about, let's kick it over to me in the past, because I've already done a walkthrough, and we'll come back and we will talk about what we think of Master of the Galaxy.
Try again. This is close enough. Master of the Galaxy.
Masters of the Universe.
I said Master of the Galaxy. Inside the box we find a nearly indecipherable manual, these cardboard pieces, which, when assembled, form a surprisingly effective card tray, which I'll take a moment to build. There you go. The board, which I really wished was double-sided. Apparently this is a Kickstarter edition.
Cool.
There's also this lore book, which I'll probably read someday. Then we find this mini expansion involving spaceships, which I really hope is in the retail edition because it's basically mandatory. There's also this supremacy board with these symbols: cultural, economic, diplomatic. Look, I played this game like 3 times before looking up what these symbols meant, so you could just skip that part. Player aids, I'll take one of those. Finally, the cards. Commerce, Expansion, and Progress make up the development cards, placing them in their assigned spots in one of the trays. Told you they were effective. Then we have the Leader, Conflict, and Government forming the political cards. They have their own space as well. Those are species cards, set those aside. Based on player count, you may have to distribute black holes to narrow the map and force smaller games to conflict. Finally, we have these customized individual player bags. In each, we'll remove the supremacy trackers, which we'll then place along the start line of the supremacy board. There are also 9 bases, 3 of each type, and no, there's no mechanical difference between them. Place 1 on your starting star. And as stated 181 words prior, set the spaceships aside. Draw 2 species, and pick 1. Finally, we come to the cubes: red, white, black, and blue. Oh, and yellow. Forgot yellow. Place 5 of each in your bag. Into the correct bag and not someone else's. Take 2. Place 5 of each in your bag. Our round begins with the player removing 3 cubes from his or her bag. These 3 cubes can be placed on any spot with a matching color. As you might have noticed, initial options are somewhat limited. In this example, I pulled 3, 2 blue and 1 white. You can use cubes to establish a route, matching a color to either the origin planet or the destination planet, though once the first color is placed, the rest have to match. You could also place them on your species card. The vertical row allows you to build a base. The second row allows you to, eventually, claim a development card. Once a row is filled, claim one of the cards and return the cubes. The bottom row increases your supremacy sliders. Alternately, you can place a cube on a planet, giving you 2 cubes of the same color to place back in your bag. If the color matches the planet, though, you'd gain 3, which is just what you do. In this case, thankfully, my development row requires both blue and white, so I'll place all 3 on that row. Pretty fast turn. On my second turn, I draw another 3 cubes. The red, I'm obviously going to place on a planet to gain 3. The white will go on the development row. And the black? Well, you'll notice there's no place to set black at the moment. You could use it to cancel a journey or a project, but why would you do that? Nope, most of the time a drawn black cube basically screws you, decreasing the number of actions you can take that turn. My turn ends as I add the 3 red cubes back in the bag. Another turn, 2 blue and 1 black. Noticing a pattern here. Once again, the black is useless, and the blues, well, this time we'll place them along this path to this system. With 2 down, I can add the starship, which acts as the universal cube when establishing routes, to a maximum of 1 ship per route. Let's say on a later turn I gain 3 yellow cubes, which I place here. I immediately gain a base, which I can then place to a maximum number of bases on a system equal to the planets orbiting it. You can add it to any system you control or have a route to. When you first build a base, you also gain a leadership card, which is when I remember the top cards of these decks are supposed to be face up. Always select 2 and pick 1, or draw the 3rd blindly. And as you probably noticed, I can finally place those useless black cubes. Place enough and I'll be able to steal cubes from other players. Once that row is filled, that action is carried out and the cubes are returned to the bag. There is also a special ability depending on if you have ranks in that supremacy. Oh, and then I return the 3 yellow cubes. Now that I settled that planet, assuming I don't want to place any bases on that spot later, I can use a black cube to cancel my route, returning both the spaceship and my cubes, the latter which returns to the bag. It's an odd rule, I know. When you place your second base in a system, you gain a conflict card. These can be placed between you and rival players or between you and a neutral unclaimed system. Against another player, the attacker sets the orientation and both sides battle for who completes their row first. Against a neutral planet, you only need to fill out 1 as an alternate way to establishing a route. By the way, these black dots indicate the cube is returned to the supply and not your bag. You lose these cubes. If you set a third base, you gain a government card, which offers even more projects, including potentially an additional species card and other special abilities. As the game progresses, you'll acquire numerous cards, probably more than you'll need. Thankfully, they can be traded for cubes. 1 for 1, 2 cards for 3 cubes, or 3 cards for 5. As you complete actions, you will advance your supremacy. Like when you colonize certain planets, and you forget to move the camera. If only one of these planets is colonized, you can increase this symbol. And since I have, I will. If I colonize both these worlds, I would gain this symbol, though I would lose the previous one. As mentioned, if you do fill up these leadership cards, you can steal cubes from other players, either off a route or even from a development. You can never steal black cubes, and there is no way to reduce their number from your bag. Despite this being a 4x game, there is in actuality only 3 ways to win. Deploy all your bases, advance one of your supremacy sliders to their maximum, or take over another player's starting system. That's it. No points. First one to do that wins. No, really, that's it. Master of the Galaxy.
Wow, it worked. Okay, so we're back talking about Master of the Galaxy. Usually I would just kind of would rock, paper, scissors who go first, but trust me, I am going to sit back and listen.
So, calling this game a game is a stretch.
I said the exact same thing with Titan Dice.
I know, but there's justification for this one.
I wasn't justified with the last one.
No, there was too.
First of all, the game looks good, I think.
The game looks good.
From like, they've got those cool little custom trays. We can put all the little decks of cards.
Yeah, but that's only Kickstarter exclusive. You buy this thing retail, you don't get that.
Explain. I had this in the video. I cannot remember. Is the spaceship Kickstarter, or is it part of the game?
Spaceship.
The spaceship expansion, where you get to put down a spaceship.
Oh, yeah, it must be a Kickstarter expansion. I never ended up playing with it.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's a game that says it's 4X, and it's not. 4X is explore, expand, exploit, exterminate.
Oh my god, he got it in 1. I always miss that one.
There is expand.
There's no explore.
There is no explore.
There's no explore. I will definitely say that there is a representation of exploit. There is a representation of exterminate, and definitely expand. There is no explore.
No, it's a 3X game.
Perfectly encapsulated by the fact that there are 3 win conditions. There are not 4.
Yes.
So that tells you right there. It's a 3X game. It is not a 4X game. There is no exploration in this game.
Yeah. So right there, the game lies to you. Bold-faced lie, right in the box. One of the biggest problems with this game is the bag building mechanic. It's so random that it makes you wonder how they came up with this as a mechanic for a game.
There are a couple of noteworthy bag building games out in the market. Altiplano is one.
But the problem with this game is you could slap any theme on this game and it would be the exact same game. You could put, like, merchants in Venice building roads or Rome or whatever you want, and it would be the exact same game. There's nothing in this game that makes it feel sci-fi. It lacks theme. It lacks fun. It lacks proper mechanics to the point where I know one reviewer said, it's awesome when you get down to near the end and everybody just needs that last cube
Not
to
citing
win.
any names, of course.
No. Needs the last cube to win, and you just keep going around the table till somebody gets that last cube. That's
Isn't that the worst part of Roll for It?
there's no strategy behind who pulls out the cube first. That's mere chance. And there's no way to mitigate it, really. There's no way to take something that you get out of your bag and change it. So there's no way to alter.
There are some cards down the road, like when you get into some of the development cards, there are some cards that do allow you to adjust. Very, 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 very minor adjustments. If you pull out cubes of the same color, you can pick up another cube of your choice from the supply. There are a couple cards in development that allow you to do that.
Yeah, but in order to get to those are like end game cards. So by the time...
it depends on how quickly you can get a development card, and if you get that specific development card.
But I mean, the black cubes. Straight vanilla as this game is, without any modifications, any homebrews, the black cubes are painful. This game just feels like it was a hodgepodge thrown together. Like I said, it doesn't feel like it has a cohesive theme or mechanics. It just feels like someone was like, I have a great game, but I don't know, have a theme for it. And Ares was like, hey, cool, we can slap a space theme on that. Okay. So, yeah, you're building your routes to other planets. It's just cubes. I don't feel like I'm a powerful race. I just feel like I'm a guy pulling cubes at a table. That's my problem with this game. It just doesn't pull me in. But what do you think? I already know you love it.
This game sucks.
That's it?
No. Oh, no. I, of course, being Mr. Over-analytical, started thinking very specifically about why this game sucked. Because playing the first time, I got, okay, I get you. It's a die-placing game without the dice. And at which point I wished, man, I would have loved a dice-placing 4X game. One like Alien Frontiers, where every time you roll the dice, there is you never have a bad die. It's always progressing you in different ways, and you get to adjust your resources accordingly.
Yes.
This one, you pull out 3 random cubes, and you place those cubes wherever you like. Now, if you're good at what you do, there's certain strategies like right off the bat. Right? For example, if you're on a colored roll to start off with, and there's another color at your one of your 3 destinations have 3 different colors, which means there's a very decent possibility you can almost certainly pull out a cube that can be placed towards your journey. That's not the prime. That's not the prime strategy. Your prime strategy is to pull out a color based on your destination, so you can get a lot more of those cubes into your bag. If you put a cube on a world, you get 2. If it matches the color, you get 3. Getting 3 is a big deal. If you're on a white planet, you pull out 2 white cubes. You put those 2 white cubes on your planets, you get 6 back. And when you have that, you move towards your next destination. Once you have a colony on that destination, you can pull those cubes back and start working your way to the next destination. There are some neat ideas right off the bat that I didn't really have an issue with. There are some weird things, like the fact that the moment you would put a colony on a space station on a system, that you can cancel those cubes and put them right back, which is a very weird mechanic, because you could basically create a line and then pull them out back, create another line, and maybe leave them out there, right? And so from that get-go, I started to kind of, okay, I see where this is getting at. It's kind of, similar to a deck builder. Although, unlike deck builders, usually you pull out cubes. Then when you're done, those cubes go back. Rather than here, you pull out cubes. They only stay out if you have a location for them. Otherwise, they go back. So, okay. So you have that mechanic. I'm willing to get there. But then you pull out the black cube, 2 black cubes, 3 black cubes, 1 black cube. And your turn, through random chance, you've lost a turn. Now, some games, like I said, if you want to lose a turn in Ascension, you have to really, like, the other guy must clobber you late in the game to deny you a turn. You can be denied a turn in Master of a Galaxy first round without doing anything, purely on the random chance.
And repeatedly over.
Yes, like I said, I pulled out 2 cubes on my second turn. I pulled out 2 cubes on my fourth turn, and you get really discouraged because it becomes a situation. Now, what's funny is that I still won that game because then I started pulling out preferential cubes. I started pulling out light cubes to put on my planet to create a solar system and so forth. Right? You also are lucked out depending on if you have a location. There are a couple races that have locations for black cubes.
Yes.
So if you do, you almost don't want to activate them. You want to throw those cubes down there and leave them there so they don't mess up your draw. But then eventually you get a colony, and the moment you put down your first space station outside of your first station, you get your first alliance card, the leadership card, as they're called.
Yeah.
And 90% of these, the vast majority of these ones, have a cube stealing ability. In a 2-player game, that is beyond destructive.
Oh, yeah.
The moment I got a leadership cube, I was able to finally place my black cubes when I pulled them. And so I stole, I kid you not, 6 cubes out of my opposing player, which was my fiance. Love you. And still pulling 6 cubes out, even though I had pulled out black cubes earlier and got massively pulled back, and she was able to get ahead of me, stealing 6 of her cubes from her developments, from her journeys, killed her.
Oh, yeah.
She was not able to recover.
No.
At no point. So that is murderous. And the fact that it's the first card you would normally gain, because the chances of you getting to another world, you're either going to get one of your development cards by completing that row, or you're going to get to another planet. One of those two things, which means you're going to get a leadership card pretty quickly. And some of them are really easy, like 2 black cubes and a blue. Boom, you steal a cube, which is nuts. Some of them are like, they're still completely unbalanced, because one of them is like 3 black cubes and 2 white cubes. So you have to have 5 cubes, but it almost 3. There's no distinction. There's nothing like, oh yeah, this one you're still a clear, and this one you're stealing a red. It doesn't matter. Those things are still equally represented on the board. Why is the white cube somehow easier to steal? You're still killing the other person. So there's that, which I thought was very weird. And once again, to reiterate, there are 3 win states. Explorer is not one of them. And I said in my gameplay, it would have been really nice if this board was double-sided or modular in some way. I understand why they didn't, because you could create a situation where now your planets are so random, now nothing you pull out is going to matter. But that still would have been something that would have given you some variety. As it is, we played this game a couple of times, and every single time we played it, I used the exact same strategy and won every single time. So it came to a point where the moment you get out cubes that are like your system, you throw them down, you build up your cubes, you put a lot of cubes so you can throw them out very, very quickly. And so you win by either getting one of those sliders up to maximum 5, putting out all your colonies, right, or destroying another player. And you have more I've played a few 4X games. I don't own a lot. This is one of the few that I own. You've played and owned more 4X games. Let's assume that this is a 4X game. Have you ever seen a 4X game that didn't use points? I am trying to think of a 4X game that had a win condition that didn't revolve around points. Because that, more so than the cubes, which I'll get into, feels like a huge fundamental flaw.
Yes. Win condition or end game condition?
No. There are tons of games that have end game conditions. But that end game condition is predicated on eventually winning the game by points. Scythe, the Scythe is 6 stars. If someone puts out their last star, that's the end game condition.
Yes.
At the end game, not the win game, is points. Whoever ends the game may not win the game.
Correct.
Here, whoever ends the game wins the game.
Yeah.
And I've never been in a situation where I felt like that was it's like there's a missing mechanic here. There's 2 fundamental flaws in this game. One involves the fact that you're pulling out 3 random cubes and you have no way of mitigating them. And there's no way to mitigate them until you start getting into some later cards. So you have to suffer the first half of the game in order to get minor mitigation. And it should be noted, throughout the numerous games, I never got a card that allowed me to properly mitigate my cubes. It was always random until the end.
Okay, so that's one flaw.
And the second flaw is the fact that these sliders are going up 1s and 2s and 1s and 2s, and eventually you'll just figure out either one of 2 things. You'll get your colonies out, or you'll get one of these sliders to maximum. And I'll tell you, after numerous games, getting all your colonies out, way easier. It is way easier to do that than to try to get one of these sliders up to maximum.
Yep.
And even if you have a slider that's at 4, 3, 2, and 1, and the other guy has somehow managed to get all 5 in 1, doesn't matter, he wins. It's so disjointed because it feels like doing little victories doesn't matter. You have to push for the singular big victory. Nothing else matters. And the lack of a point system feels like a bizarre exclusion. So yeah, I'm looking at it going, okay, neat little planetary colonies, pulling out the cubes. And the part that gets me so angry is that I can look at it. I can look at these rules. And I can see, like, we've played games where I'm like, that's a bad game. There's nothing I can do to fix it. It's not a game. It's either a game that I think is fundamentally broken, or it's a game that I just don't resonate with, right? Games that have a lot of take that. Games that have to deal with a lot of social deduction. I'm not good with that. I can get anxiety attacks. They're not my kind of games. That's fine. What annoys me about games like this, which is the exact same problem I had with Lost Legends, is that you can clearly see where the mistake is made. Where you can look at it and go, well, just do it this way. In Lost Legends, the creator of the game flat out admitted that his original design, he had things different. And it was the parent company that forced him to change it. And when you play it by his original rules, the game is suddenly fun. And you get angry going, why didn't you stick to your guns? And I look at here, and there's no commentary about if there was a collision of ideologies. But you can tell, and this is two things. A, this game is not balanced for 2 players. Because you have a lot more room to explore, so you're not conflicting. I don't know why I am stealing cubes from another player on the opposite side of the board that I haven't encountered yet.
Yeah.
Right?
How's your race doing it?
How am I stealing cues from another player halfway across? I can see us conflicting. Once we figured out how the conflict cards worked, I thought that was a good idea. Because that's a creative situation. You're attacking a neutral colony as an alternate way of getting to a destination. Smart move. You're putting it between you and somebody else because you want to take over their colony. How am I stealing cubes from another player halfway across the board? And we are on opposite sides and we haven't expanded. But you can do it habitually multiple turns, even though you're not directly. But I'm just stealing cubes from somebody.
Yeah.
I don't get that, and I don't understand. And if you take cubes in a 4-player game, I can take a little bit of you, a little bit of her, a little bit of him. But as 2 players, you're stealing cubes. Whoever gets the leadership card first and starts utilizing it can permanently cripple the other player.
Oh, yeah.
And there is no way, there's no catch-up mechanism, nothing like that. If you go online,
Yes.
there are a few rules. And I'm going to cut over to show my 2 favorite rules here.
It's really simple. Draw 5 cubes instead of 3. Pick 3 of the 5 cubes as your actions that turn. This offers actual player choice and allows strategy. There are cards that allow you to draw additional cubes or give you benefits if you draw cubes of the same color. For the former, draw 7 cubes to pick 5. For the latter, that ability activates when you select the 3 cubes to use that round. Simple. Next up, a mandatory rule in 2-player games and likely in all games I'll play. A stolen cube in actuality returns said cube to that player's bag. It is not stolen, and the activator gains a matching cube from the supply. You're not actually decreasing the target's player supply. Trust me, some cards are exceptionally mean when it comes to how easy it is to steal cubes. And finally, I would implement a point system. Each player gains an equal number of turns. The win condition is now only the end game trigger. Once triggered, end that round for all players, then add up your points. 1 point for each deployed base, 1 point for each star system you've taken over, and finally, points based on where each of these supremacy sliders are located. And it's that easy.
There are lots of ones. 1, the black cubes cancel your draw. You draw out more cubes. And I'm like, you know what? No, they're just too complicated. Draw 5 cubes, pick your 3. You get strategy. You get to pick your cubes, and you can mitigate a bad draw.
Yep.
You do it every single turn. You can choose exactly what you want, and how you want to distribute it. It mitigates to black cubes, gives you choice. You never have a bad pull. Draw 5, pick 3. It's just like die rolling. You roll your dice, you figure, okay, how do I use these to my advantage? Pull out 5 cubes. I got to pick the 3 that work. Oh, damn, I need all 5. Too bad I can't. I got to pick the 3 I want that's going to play with my strategy, and you play with that strategy. Second inclusion, points. And it's such a simple point system. One for each planet you're on. One for each colony you put out. One for each step on the ladders. Done. There's nothing complex that needs to happen. When we tested this system out, after I won the game, my fiance, I still won the game on our first attempt, but quite literally Nicole was 1 point behind me. And if you have a point system, first of all, when somebody just wins the game, everyone's just like, okay, I guess we'll never know who was closer. If you have a point system, you're usually like, wow, you almost had me, 1 point behind. You have some emboldenment. But when it's just like, winner, at least in a racing game, you know who comes second, third.
Yeah.
You can't really tell. No. You can say, well, I was at 4 on this ladder. Oh, yeah, but I was at 8 colonies here. I go, yeah, but we'll never really know because we don't know, right? And then not only that, but the alternate sliders that you don't get up there, like the ones that are 2, 3s, and 1s, suddenly they matter.
Yes.
Because there's so many things where you're raising up a couple. Maybe that one guy who spends working out those resources. So go, oh, look at that. I won because I had 3s on all these ladders. Suddenly, even though you activated the end game by doing one of those things, I ended up winning because I had a better, more functional empire. It's a simple solution, and that's what gets me so angry.
I have a third flaw.
What's that?
Calling it a 4X game when it's a 3X game.
Yeah, the only way to do that is to, when you are either exploring or when you're approaching a planet, there's some type of random event, something.
Yeah.
Right? Or, and this is better still, instead of cubes, instead of just flat cubes of your destination, there are story cubes. Like you put down a cube, there something happens. Right? Something where, and you don't know what's going to happen. It's like the story cards in Scythe. Something that adds that extra one.
Yeah.
And you get that token. And if you get a certain number of tokens, end game triggered.
Yeah.
I would say it was designed by somebody who wanted to make a bag building 4X game. I think someone actually wanted to do it. There was a decision made at some point to, like, it was probably playtested with just 3 or 4 people, and he just made guesses on how to make it a 2-player game. From what my experience is from a lot of Kickstarter games, they are not doing enough playtesting in smaller groups. They are playtesting with large groups, and they're making adjustments to smaller groups. I don't think this game was properly tested for 2 players. I will bet you that somebody had to have mentioned that the randomization of the drawing cubes was a bad idea, that the lack of a point system was kind of odd, and they made the active decision to ignore that advice, because I do not believe that either this game had enough playtesting, or that if they did have enough playtesting, somebody didn't bring up the problem with the cube draw. Right? It is a systematic flaw with a very simple solution. There is the germ of a much better game. I tell you, the way we did our homebrew, easily we'd play this again. We enjoyed playing the game as a homebrew the moment you do the 5 draw pick 3. Suddenly you have choice, you have strategy, the randomization is mitigated, and suddenly the game is about 5 times better. You add points, 10 times better.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'll tell you right now, my score with this game, I'd give it about a 5. If the rules were as printed as I've seen people suggest and the way I've suggested, 7, maybe even 8. That good. That's how much they dropped the ball. Like, if the retail doesn't have those ships, knock it down another point, because those ships are effectively mandatory.
Yeah.
Because they're universal cubes, basically, which help you complete a journey.
Yeah. And, the trays aren't in there. And honestly, for me, the game comes in at 2.5.
2.5?
Yeah. There are so many better actual 4X Euro-style games out there that this just feels...
One advantage about these, if you play it the way we suggest, its one advantage is that it is one of the faster 4X games. Like, right up there with Alien Artifacts. When a game you're like, wow, that was it. It's done. 40 minutes, done. Like, this game, if you play it their normal rules, you'll get frustrated because you're pulling cubes, no one's doing anything. Like, you play the game as stated, it's a frustrating 90-minute slog. If you play it with the rule suggestions, smooth 60.
Yeah.
You're in and out the door really quick, and you're like, wow, that was one of the fastest ones. Like Alien Artifacts. If you know how to play Alien Artifacts, which is a chore in itself, you can play the game in 40 minutes. If you don't know how to play it, you're there for 2 hours because it can be a little muddled. Yeah. Probably on the list of the I wouldn't say it's disappointing. It is the most unfulfilled potential for a game. As two of us which are blossoming, burgeoning game designers, we shouldn't be the experts. We shouldn't know better. When somebody hits production, they should be better than us.
Mm-hmm. I would hope so, because that's the problem, is that, you know, I look at this game and I'm just, I see things that they could have changed and things that they could have done better. And then I think to myself, yeah, I'm not like, you know, Einstein or something, but how come I can figure this out? And there's like practice designers selling games that don't get it. I don't know what the functional disconnect is.
Yep. Maybe there are too many people close to this project. They couldn't see the forest for the trees. And maybe somebody needs to be brought in. Somebody outside that can be... And then you have to be able to take that advice by saying, you know, this is how it is. So that's our review for Master and Commander. Piling on...
You need Master of the Galaxy.
Damn. I want that game. So that's a review of Master of the Galaxy. I have been Chris.
And I've been Dave.
And this has been Master of the Galaxy. If you haven't figured it out by now, it's a broken game.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.